Kind of what's coming up next. So Bob and Doug going through the ingress operations right now. Coming up, planned about 2:35 p.m. Pacific time is hatch closure. So that's where we will close the forward hatch on the Dragon spacecraft. And then following that will be closure of the APAS hatch.
And after we close the APAS hatch, that's on the space station side. We'll have the space station crew be working on that. We'll go for vestibule depressurization, and the vestibule is that space in between the hatches that the crew flies through when they arrive, and then of course when they leave. But we are going to bring that space, which is at the same pressurization as the rest of the space station, down to as close to a vacuum as possible, because that's what it will be exposed to once Crew Dragon departs, hopefully in just a couple of hours.
Yeah, right now the planned departure and separation is looking like around 4:34 or 4:35 p.m. Pacific time, and that's when we're hoping to see Dragon do some small undocking burns that will separate it from the space station. On your screen is actually a view from inside the space station, looking down Node 2 towards the pressurized mating adapter. I think I saw Chris Cassidy in the view there, and I think those are his other expedition crewmates on board.
Yes.
And Bob and Doug probably inside the capsule at this point.
Yes, that looks to be Chris Cassidy over on the left, and then Anatoly Ivanishin and Yvonne Wagner upside down, or what feels like upside down to us, but really there's no up or down in space.
That's got to be nice.
And, yeah, I know, right? And both the hatches still open, so we'll be waiting for that hatch closure. And it looks like hatch closure is soon to be underway.
Houston and Hawthorne from Endeavour.
Still working to take out some equipment inside Dragon, move it back into the space station.
Yeah, so as part of those activities, moving the intermodule ventilation duct, they activated, of course, the lithium hydroxide scrubbers on board Dragon. Cap and fan has been running. And I think we're just waiting on confirmation of hatch closure.
Yes, and I think they just called down that they are working on that, putting that into motion. We're getting one step closer to sending Bob and Doug home.
Closed for Endeavour.
SpaceX copies.
SpaceX copies.
And Houston copies. And Houston copies.
And we just got confirmation that Capsule Endeavour has closed the forward hatch. We can actually see on our screen the activities to close the APAS hatch as well.
And that Crew Dragon hatch closure came at 2:36 p.m. Pacific time as the International Space Station was flying over the North Atlantic Ocean.
Now, as part of hatch closure operations, Bob and Doug actually inspected the seal on the interior surface of the forward hatch on Dragon. And we're talking about the forward hatch and the side hatch. The forward hatch is actually the part that's attached to the front, sort of the front portion of the International Space Station. So if you imagine the International Space Station flying in a direction around the Earth, the forward direction of it is what we're attached to. And that, if you were imagining the capsule sitting on the rocket, is actually at the very top of the rocket underneath the nose cone.
Dragon SpaceX for status.
Go ahead, Anna.
The ground has verified system reconfigurations for hatch closure are complete and they are nominal. The ground will step into vestibule depressurization shortly. And finally, control of cabin air temperature via your procedure 4.080 is allowed at this point. And note that the hex is currently configured for maximum cooling.
Sounds like vestibule depressurization has begun. So as we mentioned, working to bring that space down to a vacuum in preparation for Dragon to depart today. That depressurization call coming at 3:04 p.m. Pacific.
And moving pretty quickly, data shows we're currently at about 12 psi in the vestibule. Just dropped below 12, and only less than a minute ago we were at 14.1. And should only take 5 to 10 minutes to drop down to that 5 psi holding point that Gary had mentioned earlier.
As soon as we continue this depressurization of the vestibule close to vacuum, just about 4:20 p.m. Pacific time, we're looking to conduct a go, no-go. That's, I think, a little bit less than an hour from now at this time that we'll conduct a go, no-go to start the undocking sequence. So the undocking sequence will be detaching the umbilical and then releasing 12 hooks in sets of 6, 2 sets of 6. There's going to be 2 pulses that are going to be fired from the Dragon end. They're called undocking burns, and they'll actually physically separate Dragon vehicle from the International Space Station. That's scheduled just a little bit after 4:30 p.m. Pacific time today. So far, everything looking good. Holding steady right now, 5 psi, looking to continue that depressurization here soon. With that, everything looking good from the International Space Station Flight Control Room. We'll send it back over to Hawthorne.
I just heard the call that Mission Control Houston is go
Dragon
for undocking.
SpaceX on the big loop. The final reconfigurations for undock are complete and nominal. The ground is go for undocking at the undocking sequence start time of 23:30 GMT. Please confirm your visors are down and that you are ready for undock and departure.
Dragon copies. Go for undock on time. Our visors are down and we're ready for departure.
We copy all.
Here we have good motion on the primary set of hooks. Again, first set of hooks driving the navigation light, the forward end of Dragon clearly visible from this view from one of the Japanese cameras. Again, we are inside of the undocking sequence now. Good umbilical retraction, and we're driving the first set of hooks.
Dragon SpaceX, first set of hooks open and nominal.
Copy nominal hooks in the first set.
The first 6 hooks have completed their driving first set down. The second set is now driving. We're now committed to undock.
Dragon SpaceX, all hooks open and nominal.
All hooks open.
Dragon departing.
Dragon SpaceX, separation confirmed.
Copy separation.
Great burns. Physical separation, 4:35 p.m. Pacific. Thrusters looking good. Counting down to a nominal departure burn 0 coming up shortly.
Dragon SpaceX, depart burn 0 complete.
Copy complete. Our visors up.
And you heard depart burn 0 complete, that 12-second firing, moving Dragon slightly faster away from the International Space Station using those service section Dracos. And with that, Bob and Doug have concluded their stay aboard the International Space Station. They're on their way back to planet Earth. Confirms a physical separation at 4:35 p.m. Pacific as the station and Dragon were flying 267 statute miles over Johannesburg, South Africa. 2 good undocking burns and a nominal departure burn 0. Next departure burn coming up in about 5 minutes. We'll be monitoring Crew Dragon throughout the departure sequence, but with Dragon flying free, that'll do it from us here in Mission Control Houston. Godspeed, Bob and Doug. To take you through the rest of the departure sequence, we'll send you back over to Hawthorne.
Thanks, Gary. Departure burn 0 sets Crew Dragon, Endeavour, and Bob and Doug on their journey home. Dragon ship Endeavour is now on a trajectory to head up and over the station before additional maneuvers will change its orbital path to take it below and in front of the station. Dragon will autonomously accomplish that through 3 additional departure burns, with that next one coming up in just a couple of minutes to get Bob Benkin and Doug Hurley well away from the space station and on their way home.